Cable 5 CyHawk Game Day is sponsored by Nissan.
Welcome into CyHawk Game Day outside of Kinnick Stadium. John Schaeffer joined by Colin Cahill.
Hello, John.
Quick turnaround for us after the Friday Night Blitz last night. We got an even bigger matchup here in Iowa City. Number 4 Penn State coming to town, take on the number 3 Iowa Hawkeyes. And it is the center of college football today, Colin. You don't get a bigger matchup on the slate.
Biggest matchup, first week here at Kinnick. Pretty excited. 3
That's
versus
huge
4.
for you.
Bars pretty high, I'd say for today. But really good Penn State team coming in here to take on Iowa. And of course, we've seen how Iowa has been able to do so far this year. Rode the defense so far this season.
Yeah, and this is a game where a lot of people have asked me, how do you think it's going to play out? Do you think Iowa wins? Do you think Penn State's going to win? We'll talk more about that, but let me just say this. No one is safe in this game. It's going to come down to one bounce, one play being made, and we'll get on that in just a little bit. But here's what the Iowa Hawkeyes had to say about this Penn State team earlier today.
That's the thing about them. They've got a lot of guys that are just really good players. And I go back to the 2002 game. You know, it looked like we were in good shape, and next thing you know, boom, it's overtime. You know, so that's what you got to realize. You're playing a team that can just, you know, close the gap really fast because they got some guys.
They got an experienced guy at quarterback, Clifford. He's beaten us in Kinnick Stadium before, so we got to be ready to stop him and contain him. And yeah, D-line, we're focused on stopping the run and trying to get pressure on the quarterback.
Preparing for him, we just make it with our quarterback. We're just making sure he's escaping the pocket, and Coach Parker just preaching, staying on top of our receivers. We kind of extend the play for probably like 5-6 seconds each and every time. So just making sure that we're on top of our receivers and knowing that they can cut back and get up the field at any point in time, and just staying on top of them is something that we've been trying to prepare for in practice. And then a quarterback like him, you know, that's somebody. He's an experienced quarterback. He's going to be calm in the pocket. He's not probably going to let the environment get to him as much as other quarterbacks might, especially with as loud as the stadium is Kinnick. I think he's not going to get rattled as much as other quarterbacks might get rattled. So I think we're going to be in for a good game.
So obviously a huge matchup here inside of Kinnick Stadium, kickoff 3 p.m. This game airing on Fox, again, number 3 versus number 4. Fox is actually in town for the big noon kickoff, and that one's going to have a lot of buzz around it as well. Former Hawkeye staff member over there on that crew right now as well. But let's talk a little bit more about some of the big names in town. Yeah, Fox has their names. Well, Iowa has a big one of their own being back in town named Marshall Yanda. Of course, 13-year veteran in the NFL. He's a Pro Bowler with the Ravens and really a staple of that locker room at one point. He's being honored with the America Needs Farmers Wall of Honor, the 9th inductee into that. And earlier this week, we did talk to him as well as Kirk Ferentz. Kirk Ferentz even getting a little emotional about his return.
Just first and foremost, for Marshall to be honored, this weekend is really special and so deserving. So what a great list of awardees on that wall, too. So you more than fit on that wall. Any wall it's worth having. All right, you should be up there.
To be a part of this group and be a part of this week is special. Like I said, just growing up on the farm, you learn, things by, hard work and discipline and sacrifice and that really transitioned to football for me for sure. So, my parents kind of showed me the way, of working hard every day. And I, like I said, when we were kids, me and my sister, you thought everybody grew up that way.
Good football player, yeah. But, there's a reason the Ravens basically made him their franchise player. They weren't going to let him leave that building because they understood what he did to the locker room. And there's so much value in that besides running 40-yard dashes or all that other stuff.
You get Kirk Ferentz talking about people, and he does let some of that emotion out, certainly. A lot of excitement to have Marshall Yanda back in the building today. And still to come here on CyHawk Game Day, we're not just talking Hawkeyes. We got the play breakdown at the whiteboard with Jeff Woody with the Iowa State Cyclones. That's when we come back.
Well, it doesn't look like the weather will be too much of a factor for the big game later on this afternoon. We will have breezy winds out of the southeast around 10 to 20 miles per hour, but the temperatures pretty phenomenal for this time of the year. We should end up in the low 80s in Iowa City later on this afternoon. A little cloudier today compared to yesterday, but no rain expected in the forecast for game day. So here is the forecast for the game at 3 o'clock. Kickoff right around 80 degrees. We'll stay there through about halftime, cooling back down to the upper 70s toward the tail end of the game.
All righty, thank you very much, Taylor. Looking forward to a nice, perfect day for football. Wind might be a factor in the kicking game. Hopefully that doesn't come into too much play. Now, earlier this week I caught up with Jeff Woody. Iowa State's on a bye, so Jeff gets a little bit of a week off, but he did take some time to break down the Cyclones in a big touchdown play against Kansas last week.
Welcome back to the whiteboard. This time we're going to talk about Iowa State and Kansas. And there's two halves of this Iowa State versus Kansas game. Half number one is Iowa State is starting to round out into becoming a good offensive football team to match their defense. And the second part, Kansas isn't that good at football yet. They'll get there, just not right now. And this example here is based on Kansas overreacting to something that Iowa State is really good at. So what's going to happen on this play? This play is going to end up with a Joe Skates touchdown, and for some reason he is wide open. I'll tell you what that some reason is shortly. So this is going to be a full protection. So Iowa State is going to slide everybody this direction and bring a fullback back over here. Every single person, including the tailback, is going to be blocking for Brock Purdy. All they're going to run this route of is Joe Skates and Xavier Hutchinson. Two-man route. Well, this is going to be just a little bit of a run fake, and you have Jared Russ in the game, number 43, as a fullback. Usually, that means run. So to Kansas, they see run fullback, they see run action, and then they go, ha-ha, we're going to tackle Breece Hall. Well, these safeties should be playing a cover two, where you're playing two deep zone, to each of them taking half of the field, but they say, no, I'm going to go tackle Breece Hall, and they play down low. These corners, assuming that these guys are going to help over top, stay there, and they don't follow this receiver across. So Xavier Hutchinson comes all the way across this way and runs behind this safety. Joe Skates more or less runs straight up the field. The miscommunication here is that your job is to cover a receiver, not to play Breece Hall. But because Iowa State has been so effective over the last few years of running Breece Hall out of these strong multiple tight end formations, they've had to commit extra people to the run. So they overcommit down to the run. They leave actually two wide receivers wide open. And it's a great throw by Brock Purdy to hit, it yes is wide open, but to hit a receiver in stride. So this is part Iowa State being good enough to make this fake, get them to do that, and part Kansas not being all that great by overcommitting everything to a run.
Really good stuff there from Jeff. Love the whiteboard. That segment will be back next week as well. Now, it's still to come on CyHawk Game Day. We're going to break down these Hawkeyes a little bit more. What needs to go right, what needs to work for them, and why they need to be aware of Penn State's quarterback, a Clifford kid that can certainly run the ball. That's next. Welcome back into CyHawk Game Day outside of Kinnick Stadium now. Like we've talked about, huge stage in front of the Iowa Hawkeyes. A lot of history between Penn State and Iowa.
A lot of history. I mean, 08, you think of Dana Murray's kick. You think 09 with Adrian Claiborne. And then Penn State, though, has owned this series for the last 7 years, winning 6 of 7. I mean, I know the Hawks caught them last year in 2020, but really, I mean, there's been some tight games here, especially here at Kinnick, obviously, with Penn State coming out on top for those games. So Penn State's really kind of taking control of the series for the last 7 years.
And, of course, the stage being set 3 versus 4, no bigger matchup in Kinnick, at least not since 1985. And the Hawkeyes talked about realizing just what's in front of them.
I've been excited for it since watching the Indiana Penn State game. I've definitely been excited for the game, understanding that it's going to, especially once I saw Oregon kind of lost, I understood like it might be like a top 4 matchup. Understanding what the environment is going to be like, understanding what's coming for this game. I think I was definitely excited for it.
I mean, we're trying to work hard every week, and of course every game is a big game. Like I said, it's 12 opportunities, and we train 8 months a year for this. So we feel prepared, and we're putting in a good game plan, so we're excited.
We see every game the same. Not taking anything away from Penn State. Penn State's a great team, but every single game we play is hard to win. So it's just another game for us. We know that they're going to come to play, and we're just looking forward for the opportunity.
We're expecting Kinnick to be rocking. We know the fans will be ready to go on Saturday. So it's going to be a really fun atmosphere. One thing we're focused on is getting communication, because we know it's going to be loud when we're out there. So we've been doing some stuff with fan noise in practice, with speakers and stuff, trying to emulate it a little bit.
That's why you play the game. It's two top 5 teams. You can't really ask for much more than that. It's gonna be a ton of fun. It's gonna be exciting. I know the atmosphere is gonna be electric. So I'm sure it's a game we'll remember for a while.
We've earned this. We've earned the right. Won those 5 straight games. So it's gonna be a good one. We're gonna have to come ready to play, and excited to get Kinnick back in there and put on a show for the crowd.
These Iowa fans obviously flooding in right now to Iowa City. A lot of excitement around us. Yeah. Maybe not quite as lively here, but I can tell you this much, RVs are rolling in because this is going to be a great game. Your not first experience around the tailgate lots, though.
Yeah, I mean, I have some good memories here.
Yeah.
Came here as a kid and got to see a couple games in Kinnick. So definitely, it's been about 10, 12 years since I've been out here, but still the same, still lively out here. I mean, we're still 4 or 5 hours away from kickoff, and everybody's already excited for this game.
Cannot soon enough. Iowa's got to do a lot of things right if they want to come away with the win today, and I think it starts in the run game with Tyler Goodson, Ivory Kelly-Martin, and then you're going to even see a little bit of Gavin Williams, but the run game can be a big exposure for Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that when Penn State played Auburn. Auburn really exploited some mismatches on the line there for Penn State, and then I think, again, with Wisconsin. Wisconsin did a really good job at exploiting Penn State's run defense. I think if Iowa can get those big uglies up there in the trenches, get them going, I think it could be a really good game. Good day for them.
And this is an offensive line that's really taken a step forward, I think, over the last couple of games. Obviously, when you've got a guy like Linderbaum anchoring that at center, he's a future top 10 pick in the NFL draft. That helps big time, but I think they've matured a lot, and that's going to be big to help Spencer Petrus get some time in the pocket, because somebody's going to have to make a play today.
Petrus has been such a game manager this entire season. I feel like just his career. Yeah. I mean, and he's not been asked to do a lot. I think this might be a game where he needs to not step out of his shoes. He needs to continue doing what he's been doing. But people want to see him make a play. I mean, they want to see some sort of play out of him, and I think he does just what he's supposed to do in an offense like this, and that's just manage the game.
Yeah, and talking about making plays, how about that Iowa secondary? The defense is like plus 12 in the turnover margin. I think they've got somewhere around 17 interceptions on the season. This is a defense that really focuses on making you make mistakes, and they're so fundamentally sound that they don't get out of position. They're there to make a play on you, and then they capitalize by turning it into points, which is something Iowa offense hasn't really done in years past.
Normally you see offenses kind of bore defenses to sleep, and then they hit you with the big play. Their defense almost seems like they drive an offense insane because they just can't get anything. Yeah. And then you see an offense try to take some sort of shot, and they're just there ready for it. I mean, it's really been incredible to watch what Phil Parker has been able to do with this defense this season and just baiting quarterbacks. I mean, we saw it last year a little bit, but this year, 5 ball hawks back there in that secondary, and all of them, you might be able to put them at wide receiver because they can all catch the ball out there.
And what's doomed Iowa against Penn State? Penn State has been willing to take the 3-yard out routes and just say, all right, we'll pick up third and 2, third and 3, third and 4. and we're going to make you stop us there. I think that's where Iowa has been struggling a bit against Penn State. Maybe not necessarily last year. Last year, a bit of an anomaly. But this year, today, Penn State's a totally different team.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State, I think they're going to have to go to their tight ends today. Their running game just hasn't really been there on offense. Noah Cain's still running back there, but I don't think that they've been as explosive out of the backfield. Obviously, we're going to talk about Sean Clifford and what he can do, but they just don't have that running game that we're used to seeing, obviously, here with some scary memories of Saquon Barkley here and that running back. So I think that if they can play into keeping them out of those 3rd and shorts, those 3rd and 4 areas, they can keep them into those long, that plays right into their game.
Sean Clifford has legs. This will be our last talking point for now. I mean, you have to present contain against him. Not necessarily the sack, but pressure and contain, I think, is the key for that Iowa front.
Talking with the players earlier this week, I mean, I asked them, I said, how do you guys simulate a guy like him? And they talked about Joey Levis, who's a up-and-coming quarterback, how he's done very well at simulating him. But I think when it comes game time, Clifford just does such a great job at just extending plays where it makes it where they have to cover for 3 to 4 seconds longer. And that's so hard for any secondary to do. And when he can do that he creates such a problem for defenses. So it's all about, if you can get upfield on those D linemen have to get upfield and contain him and just make him think about them instead of thinking about throwing down the field.
Yeah, going to be a fun one today. We're going to get into the 3 keys and big man on campus next here on CyHawk Game Day. Welcome back out to Iowa City. Great game on tap. We're going to dive right into the 3 keys for you. Iowa got to beat Penn State with 1. Keep Clifford contained today. We talked about it. He's mobile. He can get after it.
Wagner has got to do a good job of just keeping him in the pocket. That's just such a big key for today for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Then number 2, win the field position battle. This is going to be a defensive slugfest. Troy Taylor going to be another star. The kid is the best punter in this country.
The Aussie from down under. I love Aussie kickers. I don't get why every college should just go for Aussie kickers. They're just so good.
He hadn't played a true football game until Purdue last year.
Wow.
And he's really, really good at putting that ball where it needs to go. And then number 3, embrace this moment. Look, we've talked about this stage all show long. 3 versus 4, biggest matchup since 1 versus 2 in 1985 here at Kinnick, and this is a stage that doesn't come around every day for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
No, it doesn't for them, and Kirk hit on that. I mean, he says Penn State, they probably play in one of these games every probably 3 or 4 years, and I think his message to his players, obviously he's such a focus-driven guy, but these are 19, 20-year-olds. I mean, you've got to just kind of take it in. I mean, you're on a huge stage today that you might not see again in 3 years. Hopefully we do.
Yep.
but I mean, some of these kids, this is the biggest game they've probably ever played, high school and college. So just enjoy it. Realize you got the entire country watching you, and how awesome that is. And you got fans in the stands this year for a game this big. What a great environment.
And big implications too. You talked about it earlier this week. College football playoff spot could be on the line out of this one. Certainly it's big for the Big Ten West standings as far as Iowa goes. Big Ten East as well for Penn State. Now to our player or big man on campus, Spencer Petrus. Look, he's been a game general the entire season. 1 interception all year, really taking care of the ball. That's crucial against a really good Penn State defense.
He's done that all year long. I still believe he's probably up in the upper echelon of top 3 for QB sneaks. He's just solid guy when it comes to QB sneaks. We talked about the art of that QB sneak. No, he's good. I don't think he makes a mistake today, because I don't think he's going to be put in a position where he's got to step out of his shoes. I think that's just how Iowa plays. They're going to keep him right where he needs to be. I think Goodson is the guy that we probably need to look at for today to really come alive on the big stage today.
Absolutely. Well, still to come, I'm going to give you our pick 5, a couple of games you might want to keep an eye on if you're into the sports wagering side of the business. That's next on CyHawk Game Day. Alrighty, we're wrapping CyHawk Game Day up here a little over 4 hours away from kickoff between number 3 Iowa and number 4 Penn State. Going to be a fun one. Excited for it, excited to get inside. We got some time, so let's talk a little bit of wagering here. Pull up my pick 5 for the week, and we're going to start Arkansas and Ole Miss, a little SEC battle. Look, Hogs plus 5.5 is my play here against Ole Miss. I think, Arkansas got steamrolled last week. That's going to happen. Georgia's really good. Ole Miss lost to Bama. Bama's really good, but I think Arkansas's got the better resume overall. They beat Texas earlier this year.
I mean, the lane train kind of got knocked off the trails last week, but Bama does that to a lot of teams. Arkansas, looks like you said, it played a really good Georgia team. I think they bounce back.
All righty, Notre Dame at Vodtech. This is now basically a coin flip. I got Notre Dame -1 earlier in the week. I think Notre Dame is still a top 15, top 10 team. Vodtech, yeah, they're at home, but I don't think they touch Notre Dame in this one.
Enter Sandman. I always think that's a game changer. One of the best, intros into sports for college sports. But no, I think Notre Dame's just a little bit too much. I think they cover.
Alabama at Texas A&M. Bama 18-point favorite. That number still not big enough. Get this. Last time A&M lost 3 games in a row, Bama handed them that 3rd loss in 2014, 59-0. All right, that has nothing to do with this year other than I like to look up odd facts, and so we're going to go Bama covering the 18.
Yeah, the sun's up today. Yeah, I think Bama covers pretty easily.
Big Ten, Michigan 3-point favorite at Nebraska. Look, I've ripped on Nebraska all season long. I will always rip on Nebraska. except for right now, because I think they cover the 3 against Michigan. Michigan still has an inflated record, in my opinion. I don't think they've really played anybody great, outstanding. And you look at what Nebraska's done. They've played some really tight games against really good teams, and I think they put it together. Maybe even a money line sprinkle there.
Yeah, I mean, just what they did against Oklahoma. They looked so good. Martinez is finally looking like the quarterback that he should be.
6 years ago,
I mean, 6 years ago, he's been here for forever. And then the fighting Jim Harbaugh's. They haven't really played anybody, you know, that yet. So we'll see how that goes.
And lastly, Penn State, Iowa. I'm not touching a spread here because this game's going to be a bounce, a big play away. But take the under 40.5. I said it to Colin before we came into this. First team to 3 wins. It's going to be a tight battle. Maybe not that unrealistic.
Might be a 6-4 game. Who knows?
Yeah,
But
gonna be a fun one for sure. Looking forward to it. We'll have all the action for you tonight on Local 5 News Late Edition. Gonna be a lot of great action. Tune in then. We'll see you then and next week here on CyHawk Game Day. Have a great day.